to keep the nation abreast on the education transformation work at the Central Ministry and across the length and breadth of the education system. I want to say that everybody, not just the ministry, has to play their role in transformation, from parents, aunts, uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, who have to wake up students and get them ready and through the door for school, to the transportation operators who transport their children to and from school. The environment you create in the vehicles influences how our students show up at school. The welcome the students receive in the classrooms, the interaction with their peers, teachers, and administrators, all of that influence learning. And I really, truly want to say it's a fallacy that transformation only needs to happen at the Central Ministry or in its regions. Transformation cannot and is not confined to the four walls of the Central Ministry. Transformation of education has to involve the whole of Jamaica. Yes, the tasks that need to be done to ensure the system works, to support our teachers and students so they can focus on the important endeavor of teaching and learning, those tasks are indeed carried out by the ministry and its regions. When I talk about needing an all of Jamaica embrace of education transformation, we only need to look at the closure of 2 schools this week, Grange Hill Primary and Grange Hill High School in Grange Hill community of Westmoreland as a result of gang violence. It's only today, Thursday, that those schools are set to reopen for classes after local police and the military moved in to bring back normalcy. I cite this because this is a major disruption for almost 750 students at the primary level and almost 900 students at the high school level. The schools did what they could to get the students in the virtual space, but we know that that is suboptimal because internet connectivity is not as ubiquitous or seamless as we would like it to be. I take the time to highlight that example because even when those students and teachers come back to school, they have to spend many hours to get back to normalcy. We have to attend to the psychosocial needs of those students. And I'm saying they've lost a lot. Multiply that by the many out-of-school factors that our students have to contend with every day, and you will see that the call for all Jamaicans to embrace education transformation is real. We are not resigning from our core central responsibility of education transformation. We will continue to do that, and you will continue to hear from Dr. Stokes and the team at the Oversight Committee. I just want to raise the consciousness of all Jamaicans that education transformation is all of our responsibility. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much for that, Minister. And your point is well made. We recognize the importance of all stakeholders, fully seized of the importance of education and ensuring not just balance within the system, but that we don't have disruptions which are just really unfortunate. So part of the reason ETOC and the ministry continue to have briefings and to engage stakeholders is so people really see the connection and we understand, and all Jamaicans understand why we should care, why we should play our own part to ensure that we can keep our schools open and we can ensure that our children are able to go to school in an environment that is conducive to learning and growth. Reminding members of the media that there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the presentations, so ensure that you are noting those questions. Our next presenter is the chairman of the Oversight Committee, Dr. Adrian Stokes, who will provide an implementation update.
All right, morning everyone. Let me recognize the Minister, Fable Williams, PS Troop, ETOC members who are here, Alok John, Dr. Tartello. Special morning to media practitioners, special invited guests. Welcome, and we're looking forward to having the discussion about transformation this morning. You should be aware by now that the government appointed this Oversight or Governance Committee. It has its name, Education Transformation Oversight Committee, or what we call ETOC for short. And its main mandate is to oversee the implementation of the recommendations of the Reform of Education in Jamaica 2021 report, or what is oftentimes referred to as the Patterson Report. So ETOC works quite closely with the Ministry of Education to ensure there is robust implementation of the recommendations. The oversight role that we play, I believe, is very, very critical to the success we are striving to achieve. We have been down this road, this transformation road, many times, and we have had, let's say, a checkered past as it relates to success or implementation. And this time we want to get it right. So, because we want to ensure, at least give ourselves a great opportunity to be successful, the implementation has been carefully structured. I would like to, again, just to remind the Jamaican public some of the, what I call the structural work that we have been doing to ensure the implementation is sustainable. One important thing to highlight is that unlike previous attempts to transform education in Jamaica, the current transformation process is being led by the team at the Ministry of Education, and that's very, very important. So we're not talking about consultants who are trying to implement recommendations and working through a complex bureaucracy that they don't understand. And this is a deliberate strategy to ensure that the transformation effort is being implemented by persons who have the wherewithal. It's part of their day jobs to implement. So what this does, it gives operational governance of the transformation effort to the Ministry of Education, and importantly, it aligns accountability at the leadership level. Now, this strategic approach that has been taken to embed transformation within the ministry is very, very important, as I indicated before, because what we want to achieve is not just accountability, but importantly, we want a fulsome embrace of the process, right? We're trying to minimize pushback, which we have seen or we have heard about in the past. So the ministry takes full responsibility for the implementation of the recommendation. So with that said, the leadership at the ministry matters. And I must say that with working with the leadership team at the ministry, I'm very happy to report that they have embraced the work, the transformation effort. And I must highlight and embrace and commend Dr. Troop for the leadership that she has shown to date. And I want to encourage you to continue in that vein. Now, implementing 365 recommendations across a complex educational infrastructure is no easy task. It requires careful planning, coordination, so that we have, let's call it a logical approach to implement. So with this said, a lot of work has been done to organize the recommendations in a way that ensures efficiency and, importantly, to ensure sustainability. So let me move to the progress update. So the measures chosen to be implemented, as I indicated before, there are 365 recommendations. And so there has to be a logical way of implementing these recommendations. And so the approach that is being taken is to ensure that the recommendations are grouped or phased in. And there are effectively 3 phases to the implementation process: short-term, medium-term, and long-term. Right? The measures chosen to be implemented in the short term are of such a nature that they are what I would call critical building blocks for other measures to be implemented down the road. But importantly, these measures that are being implemented now are designed to yield tangible benefits, right? You have to show progress, real progress in the implementation. So it's not just an esoteric exercise or a theoretical exercise, but we need to demonstrate real output from the work that is being done. So I want to provide an overall summary of the implementation work done to date. So 101 recommendations have begun, right? This is an increase of 9 relative to the last time that we spoke. Of the 101 recommendations, 97 are lagging, but before are on track, sorry. Yes, you're paying attention. Right. So 97 of the 101 recommendations are on track, right? And 4 lagging, right? And you know, that's very, very important. Right? And what this demonstrates is a very strong implementation to date. And as I said before, I want to commend the team at the ministry for this work. It is not easy work in terms of the implementation work that they're doing. The 4 initiatives that are lagging are related to, you know, and I will name them. 1, the initiative about making public the reports on school financials, and also the work that the NEI does. The second initiative that's lagging is the implementation of the Education Management Information System, or EMIS for short. The third one is the one that relates to improved staffing and training in early childhood institutions. And 4th, the one that relates to consultation on funding models for early childhood and primary education. So these are the 4 initiatives that are lagging. So from ETOC's perspective, we believe that the initiative that relates to the NEI and other reports being made public, we think this is a low-hanging fruit. We have said this at the previous press conference, and to be quite honest, I'm not certain why this should be lagging. And our advice and recommendation to the PS and the team there is that we should get this done, right? There's really no good reason for this thing to be held up as far as I am concerned. So I want to comment or to commit publicly, PS, I'm looking at you, that for the next reporting period, we will have this initiative finalized. The next initiative that's lagging, as I indicated, the EMIS, from what we have been able to deduce from the ministry, is that they're having some issues with the developer of the system. Nonetheless, the commitment that we have received is that the system will go live in April of this year. So we're looking forward to that. In terms of the improved training and staffing in early childhood institutions, the release of funds to the Early Childhood Commission in the upcoming financial year should get this initiative back on track, PS. So we're looking forward to that. And finally, around the consultation on the funding model, the ministry has indicated that they are working to establish 4 working groups to deal with this issue. And again, I suspect that by the next reporting period, this issue should be substantially advanced, or if not complete, right? So we're looking forward to those initiatives that are lagging to be materially resolved by the next reporting period. So overall, what we're seeing, and I'm very, very happy to report that there has been a high degree of implementation of the recommendations for the current period. And I want to, as I indicated before, commend the ministry for that work. I would also like to say that work is taking place in the background to ensure that the progress reporting, the work that we do from ETOC's perspective, is automated, right? And you know, it's something that we talk about constantly with the ministry, and I know that they're doing significant work with, first and foremost, consolidating all of the strategic data and to have a general upload into a system that they call Asana, and soon thereafter we should be able to access the data and in fact to examine different dimensions of that data. And then ultimately what we want to do is to build a pipe to the data so that it is accessible to all, right? So that the public can access the data and therefore obtain more frequent updates on the implementation work. So that is something that we are looking forward to. Importantly, I also want to commend the ministry on increasing awareness around the transformation process. The Trend campaign, we believe, is going well, and we want to thank all those associated with the campaign, the design and the execution of that campaign. And we should highlight not just the PS, but Stacy, our MC here this morning, for the strong leadership role that she's playing to get that to the level, or to take it to the level that it is at. So that is recognized, and I want to publicly show our thanks for that work. So I would like to conclude by thanking Minister Williams, PS Troop, the leadership team at the ministry, the ETOC members, the committee members, right? Alok and Dr. Tartello and all ETOC members, some of whom were not able to make it here this morning, for working in a collaborative and transparent manner to achieve success with this transformation effort. And finally, let me say to the Jamaican people that we are committed to this very, very important work of transformation in education. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so very much for that, Dr. Stokes. Ladies and gentlemen, I have had the privilege of seeing Dr. Stokes, the Minister, the Permanent Secretary, and other members of ETOC and the Ministry working behind the scenes. And I can tell you that there is a lot of work happening. It is no walk in the park at all. And Dr. Stokes is very businesslike. And no, I will say it, Dr. Stokes, he is a taskmaster. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. We never get anything done unless you hold those reins, and he definitely is doing that. And so I want to acknowledge also his stewardship, the stewardship of the Minister, the stewardship of the Permanent Secretary, and her amazing supporting team. As I mentioned, you will be getting a progress report, and coming up to do that is the project lead transformation officer, Ms. Nicole Brown, who is going to give us that update on the transformation process. Please make her welcome.
Praise the Lord another time. Praise the Lord. Good morning, everyone. I believe the protocols have already been observed, but I'm happy we're all here today. I stand to give this presentation on behalf of the ministry as well as our Chief Education Transformation Officer, who is absent today. Dr. Stokes, the Minister, made the presentations prior, setting the stage for transformation in education. And we are running the train. The PS loves to say that we are fixing the plane in mid-air. So the work continues. Dr. Stokes mentioned a while ago that work has begun on 101 recommendations. And so this work will impact, let me move to that slide, 110 public primary and secondary schools, approximately 2,400 ECIs, approximately 500 private prep and high schools, 21 tertiary institutions, 600,000 students, 25,000 teachers and principals, and 12,000 support staff, and approximately 100,000 parents. That is a lot. We are moving. And so, as we move forward with transformation, we are hoping that a number of things, a number of the recommendations, we will be able to see progress. And we want to improve literacy and numeracy rates from 92% and 80% respectively. We also want to move the students across grade levels. We want to provide the appropriate education as per their learning needs. We want to ensure that the students are ready for higher learning and the world of work. CXC, we want to ensure that the students are attaining 5 or more of these passes, especially in math and English. Leadership is very, very important within the school system. So we want to ensure as well that 80% or more of our principals, that they're high achievers, and their leadership competency is improved as well. Teacher competency, we want to ensure that 80% or more of our teachers are attaining high ratings on their performance evaluation. As it relates to holistic education, at least 80% of our students attaining positive social ratings to contribute to civil society. The completion rate, very, very crucial. We don't want a system wherein the students, they're not completing, they start, they stop. We want to decrease the dropout rate, and so we want to ensure that at least 95% of students completing their 7 years of high school. The achievements, moving forward, the achievements will be validated by the next sitting of PISA, and a number of schools achieving a rating of good and above in the NEI assessment. We will now move per pillar. There are 7 pillars. Number 1 is governance and accountability. As it relates to the JTC bill, it is 85% complete. The clause-by-clause review of the Joint Select Committee is being completed to inform the next step in the legislative process. The ministry is also implementing phase 1 of the centralized accounting system in 50 schools. 200 schools will commence implementation within the system in the next school year. And this forms part of the Government Integrated Financial and Management System, GIFMIS. So it will improve the acquisition, allocation of resources across the schools. EMIS, Dr. Stokes mentioned that we are lagging, but so far the pilot has been completed for schools within the Kingston region, and this is inclusive of the student attendance and incident reporting modules. The rollout for EMIS across 14 parishes is set for April 2024. We now move on to the early childhood sector. The institutional review of this sector is 100% complete. There is a proposed reclassification and restructuring of the ECC that has been approved by the Ministry of Finance, and the effective date for implementation is April 1, 2024. The early childhood development policy is 30% complete. And 120 ECIs have been identified for certification in low-income communities. And these institutions are in Region 2, 5, 6, and 7. As it relates to the training of the EC practitioners, so far, 1,500 has been trained in various areas. 1,269 principals and ECI operators have been trained. Some of the skill areas, there has been over 4,000 sessions, and efforts are being made to ensure that ECIs have at least one trained teacher within the schools. We now move on to curriculum. Work continues as it relates to the curriculum. We completed the education philosophy, which will guide that curriculum. It is completed and approved by Cabinet. As it relates to the NSC, the National Standard Curriculum, it is being reviewed. UNESCO is also one of our partners who will be giving us some assistance in reviewing the curriculum. We have been doing some monitoring across the system as well, and the National Parenting Support Commission is also engaged, or will be engaging parents as we review and implement the curriculum. So far, approximately 2,000 teachers have been trained by JTC, and over 700 school leaders have also been certified by the National College for Educational Leadership for the April to February 23 to 24 period. Safety and security. The minister spoke about the incident at Green Hill this week. The ministry continues to work, continues to improve where safety of the students are concerned. There are a number of programs that the ministry is implementing at this time. For instance, the Restorative Justice Program. 8,700 educators, parents, and students have been trained, and behavior management protocols have also been introduced in the schools. 154 schools have over 1,000 operational cameras, and 6 schools have already been retrofitted, and another 8 will be added in this academic year. And safety also takes into account the ECIs with the IRI classroom framework, and a broader concept to impact all schools with cameras is being implemented and will cost an estimated $1.5 billion. As it relates to the tertiary sector, work continues. We want to ensure that the human resource and financial functions of institutions, it's strengthened. To date, the human resource audit has been completed. A new structure has been developed and awaiting approval, and a tertiary human resource unit is being developed within the ministry, and this will support the transition of the HR functions. As it relates to TVET, work continues in improving the labs and programs. So far, the modernization of TVET labs, 5 schools will benefit from an exemplary lab with focus on precision agriculture, renewable green energy, agro-food processing, animation and graphic design, information documentation, and business outsourcing. We also want to see improvement of existing TVET labs in 50 schools. All schools offering TVET programs are set to receive the grants to support the assessment in at least 5 TVET disciplines. And I can say that yesterday the TVET officer and I were in a meeting, and the funds PSG saw evidence of the funds for the labs. Yes, being sent to schools. And all primary schools to receive a grant to support the implementation of resources and technology at grades 4 to 6. The examination subsidy to pursue TVET certification, that is also ongoing, and special effort to reconstruct and support the technical high school model of education is also being done. Teacher training and development, in collaboration with Hard Trust NTA, recently 154 teachers received capacity building training in a number of areas, and 51 teachers have also been exposed to competency-based education and training and assessment. The monitoring of the schools is very, very important as it relates to TVET. They want to see the tangibles, and so work continues across the island, and schools have been participating in group activities, seminars, and workshops. And there's also an ongoing effort to increase the number of schools offering TVET. We move to infrastructure and technology. We know that the COVID would have pushed us into a space where we have to use the technology, have to use it well. We also have to change the way we do things. And so over 600 or 66% of all public schools and places of safety have been connected with broadband internet service, and this is an increase of 16% since October of 2023. Work to connect the remaining schools to the network is also ongoing. The purchase of laptops for teachers, over 15,000 laptops, have been procured at the secondary level, amounting to $3 billion in investment for our teachers. So far, approximately 23,000 of the 25,000 have received their laptops. That is 90% of our teachers. 10,000 computers have been deployed across the country to all the high schools to upgrade the e-learning labs. And another 5,000 laptops are to be deployed in the upcoming financial year. As it relates to the critical repair, maintenance, and renovation, work is entrained in 159 schools, with an additional 34 institutions identified for the constructions of ramps for students with special needs. There have been upgrades, electrical upgrades, and fencing that are being executed in over 100 schools at the primary and secondary level. And so, for this financial year, we will expend over $5 million under the primary secondary infrastructure project. We're $563 million. Works have been done at Black River High as well, as part of the thrust of de-shifting the school. Construction have also commenced at Exchange Primary, Bridgeport High, Homewood Technical High, Sidney Pagan High, Papine High, and Cedric Titus High. And work will commence at Jonathan Grant High before the end of 2022-2023 financial year. Given Cabinet's approval, the ministry is now moving to implement moving to complete the Special Education Diagnostic Center to be built at Case College of Agriculture, Science and Education in Portland. And the center will provide assessment and other intervention services for special needs students in that part of the island. And the budget for the 24 to 25 financial year for that project is $180 million. As it relates to the STEAM schools, the project will be implemented over an 8-year period at the cost of $133 million US. The budget for the project for the 23-24 financial year is $159 million. We continue with infrastructure. A lot is going on in education. Under the Education Transformation Project, we will see the build out of the Mount St. Joseph High School. And this project is to provide secondary school spaces in the parish of Manchester. And this will be done, or the budget was revised to $83 million for this project. and designs are currently being modified for resubmission to the municipal corporation. Financing of education, Dr. Stokes mentioned that earlier, where four focus groups or working groups have been established to ensure that the appropriate funding will be provided for the schools from the early childhood to the tertiary level. And it is hoped that we will be able to develop a funding model to guide the system as it relates to funding for the schools. The upcoming activities on the transformation. Currently, we are integrating all the transformation targets in the ministry's work plans. We are about 98% as it relates to that process. We will continue our sensitization of the stakeholders. In April, we will continue with the sensitization of the board chairman, principal, teachers, and also parents. The trend campaign also continues with Stacy at the helm. There will also be robust monitoring of activities to include weekly updates to ETOC and quarterly updates to the nation. Dr. Stokes this morning mentioned the ASANA. We are about maybe 75% as it relates to updating the information on the ASANA. Up to yesterday, meetings were held with the various departments in ensuring that the targets and some updates are inputted in the system. We're also developing a new National Education Strategic Plan, which is geared to be the broader planning framework for the education sector. Preliminary work has already begun within the ministry, and it is being led under the leadership of the permanent secretary. And that is the update. If you have any question, I will invite our technical team to assist this part of the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for that very comprehensive report. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, as Nicole said, we are now going to go into that Q&A segment of the briefing. Please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged, and then once you are acknowledged, you say your name, the organization you represent, and then you can proceed with your questions. I do see members of the media from the Gleaner, RJR, and the Jamaica Information Service, and we are expecting to have a robust Q&A session. Are you hearing me on this microphone? Okay. Just also letting you know that for persons who are online, we are live on several social media platforms, the Jamaica Information Service, the Facebook and IG pages, their YouTube. We're also live on YouTube of the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica, and our team, social media team from the Ministry of Education and Youth, have been doing live updates on Facebook and Instagram. So for our audience online, if you do have questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, in the comments, rather, not the chat, the comments, and we will try as best as we can to see if we can get and incorporate those questions in this briefing, but obviously you'd have to do that really quickly, or we follow up to get those responses to you. We'll start off with ensuring that everyone gets an opportunity to ask questions. So initially we'll allow 2 questions per journalist in the first instance, and then after that, once everybody has had a chance to ask questions, then we can do another round so you can get additional questions in. I do believe Sashana from the Gleaner has the first question.
Good morning. I'm Sashana Small from the Gleaner. My first question is in regards to tertiary education. We've heard talks or comments about the need for rebalancing funding structure for that. I want to know in favor of primary and tertiary education. So I want to know if a funding model has now been developed or is being developed in the transformation process. And my second question, I note that a number of security cameras have been installed in schools and more are to be installed. I want to know if these cameras will be monitored on site on the school.
Minister is coming to take that one.
Thank you. I'll start with the question on tertiary education. Yes, in the recommendations, I looked at the percentage of the budget that's spent at the early childhood level, primary, high school, and tertiary. But I want to say that in interrogating the numbers in the report, we want to note that persons generally think of ECI, the early childhood sector, as those children 3 to 6. But the formal accepted definition of early childhood is 3 years to 8 years. So that would encompass the early childhood sector and pre-primary. And when we look at our budget and we look at the spend covering that age group, it is PS almost 32% of the budget.
32 billion, 20%.
Sorry, 20%, 32 billion, approximately 20% of the budget. And that when you look across the different levels, using that definition, you will see that the scale is more balanced. I know that in the public domain, currently there's a thinking that early childhood is underfunded because generally you just look at the 0 to 6, and the percentage there I think was somewhere between 5 to 7%. But we want to correct that notion about the early childhood sector. We're not saying that more cannot be done. We'd love to see more funding for all sectors of all levels of the education sector. But our numbers, and we can put them out for you to interrogate, suggest that there is balance in the system currently, and that, if anything, the improvements in funding should be across all the different levels of education. And then the second question has to do with the security cameras at schools. Are they being monitored? Currently it's local. We would love to, as we modernize the system, as we bring more schools on, obviously we'd love for that to be more centrally managed so that there can be appropriate response, whether at the local level, the national level, to issues. And we have data, collected from all the schools to help us to make better security decisions about our schools.
I hope that answers your question, Sashana. All right, Hal Shane Burke from the RJR group has a question.
Good morning. Jamaica. I'm not sure who will answer this question, but in relation to, I think the last update, there was some issue relating to funding and enough money flow through to the ETOC to execute. Also, I want to find out if that has been resolved and if you're satisfied with the funding that is being provided to ensure that all the intendants are achieved. And secondly, in relation to the 101, I think, right, what is holding up the others? Is it that those are impinging on these being satisfied, completed, or what's the rate of completion that we're looking for going forward?
All right, I'll take your second one first in terms of the recommendations. Recall that we say that some of these recommendations are short-term, some of them are medium-term, some of them are longer-term. We cannot tackle all of them all at once. We have had to prioritize as we align them under the different pillars of transformation, of which there are 7. So, for example, if we are going to be building STEM schools, right, the work may begin now just in terms of getting all the pre-work needed, but you won't see the manifestation of that until 2-3 years down the road. So some of the things can be done now within the year, others, year 2, 3, 4, others even beyond that. Recall that we have estimated that this will take us 8 full years of implementation. It's not a quick, overnight, easy fix. However, as we make progress on the recommendations, that is what we will be reporting. And you can see, even from today, the recommendations that have been reported on, they're at different percentages of completion. And your other question with regards to funding to ETOC, I don't know that ETOC has a budget. It's just the education transformation. Okay. So one of our first exercises was to ensure that we understand the costing of this entire exercise, and so we employed the good services of the Mona School of Business to help us, and they did present us with some numbers in terms of the actual billions of dollars it would cost, how much we should be looking at expending on an annual basis, how much from existing budget, how much is expected from additional budgets. So we are looking at those numbers, we're refining them. I can tell you that 2/3 of the cost of transformation is in infrastructure and technology, 2/3 of the cost. And that means we have to improve the physical infrastructure of our schools all across Jamaica, and we have to ensure that we have proper technology, working technology within our schools. The work on that has started. You saw some examples of laptops that teachers have, technology labs that have been upgraded. Our broadband infrastructure has been rolling out now for 2 years. Over half of our schools are connected. So that's a massive project that is going to continue for at least 2 years to come to completion, and then beyond that, just the maintenance of that project. So it is, we will, I'm sure at the next reporting, we can present on the estimates of the funding cost for this initiative so that Jamaicans will understand the seriousness with which we take education transformation.
Any other question? Shoshana has a follow-up for Minister.
Actually, it's a different question. It relates to transformation taking into account the requirements of special needs students. I don't know if I missed that part of the presentation, I apologize for that. But I want to know where in the transformation process we are with those type of implementation for special needs students in our system. And you mentioned that technology in our schools and what we're doing to improve that. But I want to know specifically the teachers' colleges, if there is effort for them to utilize technology more in how we, teach our future teachers.
All right, with regards to special needs students, in education currently we do have a focus on special needs. Within the central ministry, there's a special needs department dedicating to ensuring that we cater to the needs of our special needs students. As you look across the sector, we have a number of different types of modalities. So we have schools that are fully inclusive, meaning that's all they do, cater to special needs students. Others in which the classes are integrated depending on the level of need. We work with private providers as well for assessment, for placement. We have to expand that service, and transformation is calling on us to do so. And so in our subsequent reportings, we will highlight the work that is being done for children with special needs in the sector. Currently, actually, sorry, I forgot that. We just mentioned the millions of dollars that will be spent to complete a 4th diagnostic center in the East at Case College of Agriculture, Science and Education, so that we can meet the assessment needs of that community of special needs students. That is part of transformation as well. And then with regards to technology, of course, technology in our teachers' colleges, of course, that is included in the distribution of laptops. They are included. Their curriculum has been upgraded to ensure that technology, is a central component of it, because, of course, it's the teachers who come into our classrooms with a high level of comfort with regards to technology that's going to help us to leapfrog in terms of what happens in our classrooms. So yes, we keep our teacher education institutions in focus, and I know JTC, Jamaica Teaching Council, works very closely with our teacher education institutions to ensure not only that they are current on what is happening in our schools, but they're current in other areas as well.
Thank you, Minister. I believe Hal Shane from RJR has another question.
Yes, Minister. Where are we? You mentioned 8 years. Where are we on the continuum as to the timeline? And are you satisfied with what has been achieved so far and the outlook?
Yes, we're just completing year 1 of the 8 years that we estimate that this will take us. Based on the reporting, which is an independent reporting by ETOC, I believe that all Jamaicans can take comfort that the work has been embraced by the ministry, the central ministry, and all of its regions. We have gone around the country ensuring all the stakeholders have had sensitization sessions. Our trend campaign is another awareness building about what is happening in the ministry as it relates to education transformation. We're here this morning to report to you, and we're not just reporting of ourselves. There is an oversight committee. So yes, we are satisfied with where we are. You saw that there were only 4 of the initiatives that are lagging. We hope at the next reporting not to report on any initiative that's lagging. But again, it's as we ramp up the front end part of it, There is a little bit of slowness, but as Dr. Stokes has always said, it's the flywheel concept. Slow to begin first, but as it is embraced by everyone, you will begin to see the momentum building across the education sector.
Thank you, Minister. Are there any other questions for the Minister or other senior members of the team? Okay. So we're all good. Thank you, Minister. All right, and thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. If for whatever reason you need any additional information, that's for members of the media, you do know where to find the Director of Communications. Right now, Colin stares at the back of the room. But we all know that you are very familiar with Colin and Cheryl and the rest of the team, so they are just an email or a call away if you need any additional information. We have indeed come to the end of this morning's media briefing of the Education Transformation Oversight Committee. Thank you so much for attending, for being here, for being present. We really appreciate your questions and the opportunity to share an update on this very important transformation process. I keep saying to the PS, this is the kind of work that has generational impact. And for me, that's something special. So thank you so much for being here and for helping us to share. We do have a little bit of refreshment toward the back of the room. So in case you have not got your coffee yet, we do have a little coffee and tea at the back of the room. I am Stacey Ann Smith. It has been a pleasure to be here with you this morning. Do have yourselves a safe and productive day.